Good morning, Nate.
Good morning, good morning.
It's
I
raining
tried
here. We got that good rain. I I don't mind the inconvenience of the rain at all. Fill up all those streams for good trout fishing.
that makes it better for you guys.
Yeah.
What kind of, like, flow rise do you guys get? Like here, like, if we get a good, like, intro to a rain, like, some of these creeks and rivers, the smaller ones at least, like, they can go up a couple of feet, especially in the springtime with a bunch of snow melt off. Do you get big
Mm,
fluctuations like that?
man, that's a good question. I should know like the conversion of 2 inches to whatever, to the feet. I do know this. I had a tank out in Tepiscay, and with let's see, 4 inches of rain, and I had like a I don't know, 10 foot by 10 foot, a little bit bigger roof that would catch all the water. I set well, in the 80s, they set up piping, but I fixed it. It would fill a 10,000 gallon tank.
Jeez.
So, and then that water would be good I'd fill up a trough with 60 gallons almost for 2 years off that one rain.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty impressive. But, yeah, I tried to get Brad, the guy who's doing the Airbnb strategy. I tried to get him on the call today to kind of explain that, and he was totally down for it. And then he got a last minute booking for this morning, so
Okay.
um, I was like, all right, I'll ask again next week. But he's busy. He runs a lot of trips and stuff. So one of these days we'll get him on the call. But and then I don't think Quinn's gonna be able to make it today. So
Okay.
it'll just be me and you, and we can kind of dive in. Is there anything? What's kind of been top of mind? What are you thinking?
Um, Top of mind is I really liked how the gift certificates came in. It was fun that mm, I've known some businessmen older than me, maybe in their 80s, and he would say like pennies from heaven. They just send him money, and that's how it started working. I was like, "Oh, this is great. It's working." So do you have and then I have the signs coming up. I'm not trying to like blow smoke your way, Nate, but you're very practical. Do you have any other tricks up your sleeve like that? Because I don't think of that stuff. Because I've been thinking of something like that, but us working together put it into action. So I guess that's the top of the mind question.
Yeah.
Um,
So as far as the signs go, I just made a note for myself
okay,
this week actually. I'll jump on and kind of design you up uh, like a template type thing for the
okay,
signs, and then we can get rolling on that pretty soon. I'm working on a couple, or I've been working on a couple little cool things with the group that I've been kind of keeping behind the scenes a little bit, but I'll probably end up giving you a call sometime this week, like just a regular phone call or something, and I'll give you some more info on it. I'll shoot you the sign template that I made so you can get those ordered up and stuff whenever you want, and we'll kind of start moving forward with the signs and things. So I'll keep you posted with all that stuff. But as far as like gift cards and things like that, when you say that you liked them and it felt like pennies from heaven and stuff, are you saying that you liked the fact that it was like people were paying you for a service that you haven't yet provided?
no, it was that they booked. I did everything on my phone. It's not even a booking. They just paid for the gift card, and then they'll put it in the calendar later. And sometimes I think I have to remind myself not to think for the client. Like they they've already vetted me with whatever things they do, and sometimes I can just be quiet and they send me the money and they want to go fishing. It's like really easy. I don't need to say, well, check out my website or check out the fish or be sure. Like they don't need to. They're actually not interested in that. And so
Yeah, yeah.
that was the pennies from heaven phenomena. I text them. They're like, yeah, I want a gift certificate. I send them the link to PayPal, they send the money, and then they get their gift certificate. So it was really, um, it was cool. And uh, I teach at the community college, right? And we have to
Yeah,
remind our students, like, we have a whole 2 lessons on scams, because we don't want our students to get scammed. But the 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 clients have already vetted me. I'm not It just feels weird sending a PayPal link, but that's the way, that's the rate business is done. In fact, if I ask for a check or a slower, like old-timey way of payment, they're like, "What is this?"
yeah, yeah. Okay. So I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page of what you meant by that. But as far as tricks up my sleeve, I guess I'll say the thing with gift cards is, which the reason we went out of order with this whole thing was because I was telling you a couple months ago, I'm like, Christmas is the best time by far to do gift cards. Now, that's not to say that you can't sell gift cards other times of the year. I've just noticed, um, basically, Christmas is by far the easiest. Other than that, you just end up selling random one-off gift cards for like people's birthdays or things
Okay.
like that throughout the year that you can't really predict. But like nobody's like going out and buying gift fishing charter gift cards for like Easter or something like that. It's not really the same thing. So is but getting more back on to the point of an idea that I could have for you is, what do you think? Like, what is your plan? I know we've talked about it before, that there's no one right way to do it, but with the signs, like, are you thinking, like, where are you imagining putting them? Like, say you have 100 of them, like, where
Yeah.
are you thinking they're gonna go? Like, are you gonna put them in, like, who are you gonna ask? Or is that what you're planning on doing? Are you just planning on, like, just putting them, like, not asking anybody and just putting them alongside the road type of thing? Or, like, there, just to be clear, like, there's no one right answer. I just wanna know, like, what you're thinking.
Because it's just you you notice once, you're like, well, you're not asking, because then you can avoid the uncomfortable feeling of rejection. So I'm not going to go knock on doors the first go around. Just going to see if putting them up is going to work, like a little experiment. And I'm constantly surprised by the stuff that works, and just the whole like, just keep on going, learn as I go. That's kind of my personality too. So I'll put one on the way to the soccer fields. I'll put one at Port San Luis. I'll put one at the interchange in Napomo. I'll put one by Napomo High School. I'll put one in San Luis. It's 5. And then probably in those interchanges, those 5, they're like dirt roads where other people have their window washing signs, paint signs, real estate signs, and they leave them alone. So I can put them there. And then there's 5 other ones that I don't know about yet. And then what else? Mm, oh, my friend at uh, Seaside Sauna, like he's got like his sauna is next level, dude. Like, you look at the ocean while you sauna, it's brand new, and like this mobile thing, and the wood, it smells like teak in there. It's like so good. And I bet he'd let me put a sign there, and it's right next to where you launch your kayaks. So that's 10 signs.
Okay, perfect. So I'll tell you a little bit of what I think of that. So
Okay.
what's gonna, starting with 10 signs is totally cool. Like normally recommend, get 100 signs to start. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have to like go out the next day and put them all up, but I'm
Mhm.
saying like two things will happen. One, if you get 100 signs and they're sitting in your garage or whatever, you're gonna eventually be like, they're not doing any good in my garage. I might as well find ways to put them out, even if it takes you 6 months to get them out or something.
Okay.
Just having them there, starting with 100. 100 is like, it's just a good number, because the second thing that you're going to notice is right now you're kind of like, like I'll start with 10, this, that, and the other. But what's going to happen is you're going to get those 10 out. And then as soon as you start getting calls from it and it starts working, you're going to be like, oh my goodness, I got to get the rest of these out.
Okay.
So I'm not too worried about giving you like the motivation to get all 100 out right away. You'll get motivated when you start seeing like, oh, if I got 3 calls this week off 10 signs, what would happen if I put the other 90 out? So that's kind of the biggest thing. So that's totally fine. Start with having 10 out, but um, have 100 like order 100, have them sitting there because for one, I think you have to get 100 in order to not make it like a ridiculous price. Like if you try to just order 10 of them, it's going to be like something stupid like $4 a sign or something.
Right.
So by the more you get, the cheaper it goes. But anyways, so moral of the story, starting with 10, that's fine. You'll get motivation when you start seeing it work to put the rest out. But that kind of leads to the next thing is eventually you're going to kind of exhaust your options of like, you're talking about the interchanges that you're thinking of
Yeah.
putting them at. You're talking about the people that you know really well that'll probably let you put them at their place. So
Yeah.
the first 10 are a piece of cake. Like everybody's got 10 spots pretty much that they can put them. Especially one kind of rule of thumb is especially if there's other signs at these locations, like if it's along the highway or whatever, like if you're the only one there, it's definitely a lot riskier because you're the only one there. But if there's other people's stuff there that shows that they haven't gone anywhere, then that's obviously a little bit more comforting. But as far as scaling from like 10 to 100, I'd say probably the best strategy is the way, which I correct me if I have already told you this or not, but have you heard me say when you run out of places to put them, and if you don't want to just start putting them in random locations, you ask the people who wouldn't be like your first 10 that are doing like your core favors, like, they let you put the sign there for free. You can start reaching out to people who like they know you, but they might not let you do the favor. And then you do the sign giveaway combo where you say, like, hey, I'm trying to get 90 more of these signs out. Would you let me put a sign in your yard? In exchange, I'll enter you in a giveaway to win a free fishing trip. Once I get the rest of
You
these signs out,
you
I draw.
mentioned that, but
Yeah.
months ago, and I guess I'm open to anything, Nate. Like if that's gonna we could do that. We could do another giveaway.
Well, I'll
And
tell you this, I don't like to go too far ahead, and you know that.
oh,
You were asking what else I had in my back pocket, so I was sharing that as a potential strategy, but honestly, I don't even want you thinking about that right now. Really, the step
oh,
one
okay,
is
okay.
just we'll get the signs, put your first 10 out, see how that goes. Like that's your focus right now. We start, I'm talking like in like a month or two, if you're crossing that bridge, like, hey, I just got these signs, don't know where I'm gonna put them, then we can start talking about doing like the giveaway thing for them. But like, I'm not saying you have to do that or anything. That was just looking out into the future of like a possibility if you are really in a pickle and you need to figure out a way to
Okay.
get the rest of the signs out.
Well, one thing I notice I'm getting better at rejection, and it's I mean, it's a good and a bad about how it's kind of changed my personality. This is a silly story, but it kind of proves the point. Like, 我会说中文一点点. I can speak a little bit of Mandarin. So I ran into this dude at the bookstore and I started speaking Mandarin to him, and he's like, "Hi." So it's like I'm not scared to go talk to new people anymore. So
That's
much
honestly
so
like,
that I'm
yeah.
like socially like the poor dude, like I was bugging him just because I heard someone speak Mandarin doesn't mean I need to go speak to him. But so I'm open to meeting new people and asking doing these signs. So that's actually a good thing because I was kind of shy 8 years ago. I was like, who am I to start a fishing business, hunting business? So I think that's an important part uh, of this sign thing too.
And honestly, I feel like it's one of the biggest like meta strategies that you can have like
Okay.
in your back pocket at all times is like it's something that's like not really teachable, but like once you get through it and you realize like even if you just told yourself like, hey, I'm gonna just be like super uncomfortable for a couple months and just like
Yeah.
learn that skill, then you always know you have it in your back pocket. You don't have to do it like every day for the rest of your life, even if you don't put yourself in an uncomfortable situation for like another 3 months or something.
Okay.
If you just know, it's that when you've never done it before and you're like, oh, well, obviously, if I really had to, like, then I would like start reaching out to people and stuff like that. It's like, no, if you've never done it before, you don't really know what it's like. And then if you've actually done it, then you can go a long time without doing it. And you're like, well, I've done it before, so I can do it again. And it gives you like a massive amount of confidence to like, if you're like, shoot, like bookings are slowing down a little bit, like if you really want them in the future, um, you always know that you can uh, pull that skill out of your back pocket, which it isn't like some like ooh wah, like, oh, like if I really want bookings, I could do like this crazy giveaway. Like I'm talking about the core skill of just like not being afraid of people saying no to like whatever you're offering them. Like that
Yeah.
is like at its core, like that is the skill.
Yeah, I'm noticing confidence is, like, huge, and I really agree with that, that there's a difference between what I think will work and actually going out and doing it, and then so I like to listen to YouTube music, and I get all these commercials like apps and AI and all this baloney, and it like, I'll think of it and I'll think about learning it, and then I'm like, it doesn't convert to just taking people fishing, like, what I that's why I'm doing this. It's
Yeah, and running a fishing charter business is probably like one of the most AI resistant businesses because it's like I don't think there's any point in our lifetime that AI is going to be able to like captain a boat out and know all the fishing spots to put customers and stuff. So we're pretty safe for a long time.
yeah, it seems like that, yeah.
But yeah. So okay. Have you had any more movement on the front of like any clients or anything in the past week?
Yeah, I right before we were on, I'm sending out that PayPal link. There's a pig hunter that wants to go. Um, I think I really like celebrating wins. I don't want to just it's a good mental place to be like, oh, I've got my deer hunter booked. I've got some three pig hunters on the books. Like, and kind of operating from a position of power is really helpful. So he does need to get his license, but at the same time, so I'm working with you, a business coach like from the San Luis Obispo County like entrepreneur um thing, and then my website guy. So something's working because I'm getting his client call came in a new way. It was just a text with a number because I kind of track subconsciously how these marketing things are coming in. So we'll see what happens. I'm optimistic he'll book, but I also don't. You don't know till you know. So
Yeah. And at the end of the day, I'm not telling you anything new, you know this one, but sometimes people get so hung up on like you're never gonna convert like 100% of people. Like my rule
yeah,
of thumb is
that's
kind of like, you
good.
know,
Good reminder.
if if you have I always kind of shoot for, and this is pretty much like with anything, like well, I shouldn't say anything, but like we'll just talk about with fishing charters, but a lot of other businesses too, like an industry standard conversion rate of like people who show interest in something is like 30 to 40%. So like around like one out of three. So if you get three phone calls or three texts or whatever of people who are like, hey, might be interested in going on a guided hunt or a fishing trip or whatever, like you should expect to close about like one out of three of them should actually book. Now, if you get to the point where some people are like, oh man, like if 10 people call me that are interested, like nine of them are booking, it's like that's such a high conversion rate that you actually you almost don't want it to be that high. You probably want to add a little bit of friction in some sort of way. Like either maybe you need to increase the price, maybe you need to do something different, but that's like a good problem to have. But
Yeah.
if you're getting 10 calls and you're only getting one booking out of it, it's like, okay, now we have a problem, which um, is 95% of the time going to be just a sales issue. Like you're just not explaining what you do or why they should book well enough over the phone. But if you're, and I'm not saying you have to like get out an Excel spreadsheet and track it, but in your mind, you probably know about what your conversion rate is. And if it's close to one out of three, you're right in the ballpark of where it needs to be. So, but real
It's
quick, I
not
just
one
wanted
out of
to,
three. I know it's lower than that. And the language is what I've been working on lately is that just go ahead and explain that people will have a really good experience. I just from a I've been to car lots to buy cars, not often in my life, but once in a while, and they just it's just like a little more pressure than I really like. So I got kind of go the opposite in my business. I'm like, I'm available for questions and comments. There's not a guarantee of a pig. It's a really good ranch, but it's, there's not a guarantee of a halibut. And so I tell them that so that when they do book, they feel like, oh, he's telling me what it really is. Where I could go the opposite. And then
Yeah, yeah.
when they're there with me, and we've had this conversation before, so I'm still like figuring that out as far as when the calls come in. I'm pretty sure I could increase my conversion rate, but I am scared that if a pig hunter doesn't get his pig after 2 days of hunting, they'll be like, "Hey man, you told me 99%. That
Yeah,
was
yeah,
that was mean."
and to be clear, the biggest thing when it comes to, like, sales gets such a bad reputation when you see
It
just
does,
the
huh?
word, because you think of people like car salesmen and stuff like that,
Yeah.
which is just super high pressure, and when I first started, I thought, like, that was the way that I had to do it, so I was doing, like, people call to book a fishing trip, and I'm doing all making all these, like, crazy guarantees and just, like, just hard selling them, and, like, looking back is, like, so cringy, but, like, I'm glad I did it because it was, like, a good, learning environment. But the answer that I kinda found, like, at least for myself, is, you know, it might have worked a couple decades ago to be like a super hardcore salesman or something, but now it just puts people off if you go too overboard. But a lot of people will say, "Oh, I don't like that hardcore sales, so I'm gonna go 180 and just completely, flip it over and just kinda like sell from my back foot, like, hey, book if you want, don't if you don't." And I feel like a
Yeah.
happy medium is the better answer. So I'm not saying be a hardcore car salesman, but I'm also not saying uh, to play too hard to get. Like, you wanna be in the middle somewhere where it's, like, obvious to them that you want their business, but without going too overboard. And there's lots of little, like, micro strategies that I don't wanna get into too much right now. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of it, different ways you can say things, different ways you can frame it. Like I've said before, there's three objections that people have on the phone. I call them the three P's. It's either price, person, or procrastination. It's either too expensive, which is price, or the person objection would be like they have to ask their wife, they have to, they're not the decision maker. And then the third one, procrastination, is just like, oh, they're busy, it's not a good time, blah blah blah. And those are pretty much the only three objections you'll get on any sales call. And there's ways to overcome them, like if you really wanted to go deep into it. But the biggest piece of advice that I have is, which is like really, it's really simple, but it's, if I gave you all the scripts of what to say for those objections, you probably wouldn't remember it and you probably wouldn't do it. But the one thing that it's the biggest leverage thing you can do to increase your conversion rate, and it's just following up. It's just following up, because following up, it doesn't have to be in a super high pressure way, but it shows people that you care enough to reach out to them again.
Oh, good.
That's
I
that's the
I
biggest
always
thing.
follow up, Nate. I follow up to the point where I'm like, I might be bugging them. Oh well.
Yeah, and the way that I kind of look at it is like, I just don't take maybe for an answer. So, like, if they say no, like, I'm totally cool. I respect that. Like, I'm not going to try to turn a no into a yes. But it's just when people are on the fence, it's like me following up with them, trying to get an answer. It's just, you want to get them off the fence. It's a yes or a no. Like, do you want to book a trip? Yes or no. It's not maybe. It's like you either do or you don't, or you wouldn't have reached out to me to begin with if you do. And it's the same thing with everything. Once they say no, like, you're done. Like, don't keep reaching out to them about it, or you're going to damage your reputation. But it's just when they're like, all right, yeah, I got to talk to my wife at 5 when she gets home from work. Like, set a reminder, like the next day, text them and be like, hey, did you get a chance to talk to your wife? Like, it's not bothering them when, like, they haven't give you an answer yet. You're just asking for an answer.
Yeah, that's great. I'll send out some follow-up texts with the Nevada hunts. There's
Yeah.
three clients that are haven't given me an answer yet. And I would say it's almost always procrastination. And so that's good. I am in the middle on that then. because I've changed lately. I'm like, look, this ranch is really good, or hey, my hunter got their deer last. Here's a picture. So I'm definitely I'm definitely confident in that presentation in a way I wasn't back in 2017.
Which the biggest way to I I don't want to go get too lost in the details, but I'll just say, like, since you said that procrastination is the biggest objection that you
Yeah.
get, um, I'd say the best way that I've found to overcome that is with scarcity and urgency. And
Mm,
you don't want it to be fake scarcity and urgency. Like, you don't want to lie about it, but like if it really is like if the I don't know, just for example, I'm just and you can apply it to other things, but like let's say like you only have time in the season to take out 10 hunters or something.
yeah,
And
that's true.
you,
There's only room for one more deer hunter.
yeah, and if you're like, "Hey, dude, look, like, I know you wanna think about it for another couple weeks or whatever, but, like, I'm just being honest with you. I can only take a certain amount of hunters out per year, and I only have 3 spots left. I can't hold it for you. It's on a first come, first basis. So, like, if this is something you wanna do, it's probably better to do sooner or later." Like I'm saying again, like, it doesn't have to be this big, elaborate thing. Like, you're just being honest. You do have,
Yeah,
these things. So, like, you might as well tell them about it. And sometimes that is all they need to kind of stop procrastinating is to realize, like, oh, shoot, only 3 more spots. Like in their head, like they don't know how quick those spots are going to fill up or how many calls you're going to get. Like you could be fully booked up if they try to call you back next week. So it's just little things like that.
that's a great reminder, Nate. With the pig hunters, yeah, it's only the rainy season, January, February, March. By April, we'll get a little bit of rain, and then it usually shuts off by May, and then June, it's flat out summer. So yeah, there is only there's that window when they just stay out longer.
Yeah. Or like the biggest one that I've used, and probably my favorite, like for fishing specifically, was I could never I could never ethically say that like, "Oh, like, I only have 5 more spots left this year and then I'm done taking
Okay.
bookings." Like, I always had, like, enough capacity, that would be a lie for me to say, and I obviously don't wanna lie about it. So my
Yep.
favorite way was just to say, like, hey, for example, like smallmouth bass, like there's like a 2-week window in August that
Mm.
is the best for smallmouth bass. And now you can book at any other time of the year, but you're telling me that you can only go on Saturdays with your work schedule. So that leaves us 2 days out of the year, 2 Saturdays during that prime fishing time, and one of them's already taken. I already have a booking. So that means if you're serious about this, you want to get out and catch these smallmouth bass and you can only do it on Saturdays, I literally only have one more option for you for that. And when you just narrow it down to their specific thing, I'm not saying, oh, I only have one more date available this entire year, whatever, making up some lie. Like, just be so specific to their situation. And that's how you add like the real scarcity and real urgency is like when it's like coming from an honest place.
Yeah, I that makes sense.
But real quick, I just want to show you something. I like visuals, which this is kind of like a little bit of a pivot from our conversation here,
Okay.
but I think it's a good place to land the plane. Do you see the whiteboard here?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to draw a little graph, which this is just something that I kind of wanted to remind you about, I guess. So uh, we have our axis and y-axis here. Brings me back into the high school days. But anyways, you have, let's say, we'll do. Oh, I don't know what that is about. Let's say that this up and down one is like your level of intensity, and then this one is time. So I'll just write it. So I for intensity and T for amount of time. And we'll say that this is over a 1 year time horizon. So 12 months, this is month 0, this is month 12. And then on an intensity scale, um, it'd be like 10 out of 10 intensity, and this would be like 0 out of 1 intensity. So I know it's super messy, but it'll make sense in a minute. So a lot of people, like what I'll notice, and myself included, what I was doing in the beginning is you're always trying to think of like, oh, like these different strategies to be run in, and like, oh, I always got to be like going out, putting myself in uncomfortable positions and stuff, and
Yes.
people try to just, like, operate at, like, 10 out of 10 intensity. Actually, I'll make this a different color so that it's more clear, but people will try to, like, operate at 10 out of 10 intensity for, like, the entire year, and that just doesn't work eventually because at some point in time, you're gonna just fall off a cliff and get, like, just burned out, and you're gonna just crash, and that's not the way to do it. It's happened to me with different stuff before, and it's definitely not ideal. So the way that I've found that's worked for me and that seems to work well when I notice it with other people too, is when you just go in seasons of intensity. Now, 10 would be like you're out knocking on doors basically every single day, the most uncomfortable situations you could imagine. And 0 would be like you're just doing nothing at all. So what I notice is actually like when you hover between like the middle most of the time. Like you're just constantly, doing some sort of actions and then you go in seasons of intensity. So it might be like 2 or 3 weeks where you're like running a giveaway or putting out a bunch of signs or something. And then you come back down to baseline. Now, notice I'm not saying like you crash back down to doing nothing. It's that you come back down to baseline where you're just, okay, now maybe you're, tweaking little things that need to be adjusted, replying to Google business reviews, you're just keeping the base of the business up, and then you're like, all right, time for another season of high intensity. And then you go back in and maybe you're doing, a gift card strategy or something now and then back down. And you can do like somewhere probably between like 3 to 5 good, hard 10 out of 10, or not 10 out of 10, but eight or above. So like 8, 9, or 10 intensity level things per year. So like you don't always have to be doing something or always thinking that, oh man, if I'm not at 10 out of 10 intensity, like I'm not doing well. Like, no,
Yeah.
just coast somewhere in the middle most of the time and then just do a couple big pushes a year is like really all you need to do. So I just wanted to kind of show that to you there to hopefully explain that. Like, I know we get on these calls every week and we're always talking about the next strategy, the next this, the next that. But like at the end of the day, I got stuff going, you got stuff going, you got your day job, I got my other stuff going on.
Yeah.
We like the fishing charter industry, but like obviously every single minute of every single day can't be 10 out of 10 locked in. So as long as and the thing is like a lot of the stuff that we talk about, like you probably notice, is like so we did the thing around Christmas. Like that was an example of like a big push for you. And then now we're talking about, we come down to level 5 and then we're getting prepared for the next strategy. So it doesn't mean you have to be doing anything right now, but then our next big push is going to be, the signs. So then you might go on a little push for the signs for a while and then we'll come back down to baseline and then kind of strategize for the next thing. So it's that 3 to 5 big pushes a year. That gives you that momentum. And then other than that, like it doesn't always have to be this big deal. So I know that was a bit of a rant, but like hopefully you understand what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah. The This is all good because I'm storing this away in my subconscious, and like I didn't want to do the text with my Nevada hunters, but I'm gonna do it. Like these little conversations motivate me because I'm not in an echo chamber. Without the coaching, I'm just doing it myself. There's no one to be accountable to, but I'm accountable to you.
Yeah, and that's a perfect example too of like, just you sending those few follow-up texts or whatever. Like that wouldn't be that's not like a 10 out of 10 intensity thing. It's just a good middle ground. Like you're still moving the ball forward. You're still doing something, some little action to keep you moving forward. And the funny thing is when you look at a daily basis or a weekly basis, there's a great saying that I love that um, progress happens too slow to notice, but too quickly to ignore when you look at a longer time horizon. So you look back over the last week, like if I asked you, okay, Mike, like when we had our last call on February 9th or whatever, like what have you achieved in the past week? And you might kind of think like, ah, shoot, like it wasn't like a ton or whatever. But then if I asked you, in a year from now, what have you achieved over the past year? Like now, what have you achieved the past 12 months from today? Think back to February 16th, 2025. Then it becomes like, well, shoot, there's actually been a lot of things. So that's the example. that I'm trying to
2025
do.
was my best, business year ever. Even better than when, like, there was there was people, like, in the I guess because I was in the fishing space, they were helping fishing captains, and kayaks even counted for that, and they were sending us grant money to, like, help us. So, it's even better than that year. So, pretty pretty optimistic.
Well, good. All right, man. Well, I got to get rolling here, but you'll be hearing
Alright,
from
man.
me. Like I said, I'm gonna make you up a little template on them signs, and I got something pretty cool cooking. So I'll probably give you a call later this week, and we'll hash some things out.
Sounds good, man. Good talking to you.
All right, you too. Later, Mike.